Two social workers on a mission to change the narrative, Millennial Babes Podcast seeks to empower others in making changes to maintain their physical, emotional, and mental health. This podcast is about becoming the best version of ourselves. I hope you feel inspired. Join Bria Spencer and Fadia Jean-Pierre bi-weekly as they initiate conversations about mental health, fitness, and travel. Share this with someone who needs it. Follow us on Instagram at millennial_babes_podcast, and let's continue the conversation. Welcome. So thank you, Isis, for being here with us this morning. Welcome to the Millennial Babes Podcast. I am Bria Spencer, and I am joined with my co-host, Fadia Jean-Pierre. And we are about to have an amazing conversation with you today. I am so excited.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. So I'm going to introduce you to our audience. We have Isis, aka the Digital Sales Guru. She is a business coach and Instagram strategist who aims to help small business owners, side hustlers, and aspiring entrepreneurs. Isis decided to lean on her faith and follow her purpose, leading her to leave the corporate world and teaching background to impact the lives of others, walk in your purpose, and secure the bag all at once. So Isis, is there anything else you would like to share with our audience that I did not say already?
No, I think that's me in a nutshell. I always laugh at bios because I'm like, how are you supposed to introduce yourself? So I think that's me in a nutshell. I think the most of it we'll get from this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So Isis, you basically created a community for women of color to come together. And to this community of women, you're connecting with us, you're empowering us and uplifting one another, right, with your business. And it's not just like, here's the business, let's make money. It's like, how can we empower each other and come together as a community? And we all come from different background. And your platform has basically started helping us, change our narrative through the business side and with renewing our faith, which is huge, and having a beautiful relationship with ourselves. So what inspired you to walk into your purpose and creating, Brown Girls Biz World and bringing us together as a community and helping us renew our faith along the way?
Ooh, that is a kind of a deep question. I can get long-winded with this. I'll try to keep it. I will say, I just remember feeling very lonely. I'll say that. I really do. And it wasn't like I didn't have friends. I had an amazing boyfriend. I had great best friends. I had family. But there was no one who really understood my big dreams, but also wanting to lean on God and wanting to, I don't know. I just remember feeling like before I even started my business that I had these big dreams. The first night I met my boyfriend, he was like, he knew I was the one because I kept telling him, I want to be big. I got these big things. I want to be helping women. I'm going to be doing all of this. He said, oh, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know yet because I always just knew. And so when I stepped into business and just helping people, I didn't even realize I was a coach at one point. I was really just helping people and realizing, I could charge for this because people started offering to pay. It wasn't even me charging at first. I realized from that and just my conversations with then clients, I wasn't even calling them clients. I was just calling them people on Instagram that I was helping. And a lot of people, I found myself spending, I would say 80% of our time together, pouring into them as far as motivation and understanding. And we would end up having talks and crying about how, it's hard getting past things and how we wish we had more support. And so, it was something that just fell into place. It was after a few weeks of doing these week-long master classes that I used to do. I would take 30 women a week and just speak about growing on Instagram. But we would have such deep questions. And every week somebody would say, you know what, we should just have something where we do this every month. We should just do this all the time. And I was like, oh girl, I can't do that all the time. Like how I was doing it, I couldn't do it that way. It would be taking a group every week, all month long. I was like, no. And I didn't even think about a membership at the time until somebody was like, you know what, I'll pay just like every month if you want, just get back on a call every month. And I was like, you know what, that's a smart idea. And I was calling my dad and I told him, I was like, I think I'm going to make these like month-long things.
Yes.
And he was like, so a membership? And I was like, oh, okay. Is that what that is? And then it was just birthed out of love and frustration and loneliness and wanting to pour into other people. And yeah.
That's amazing to hear, because we are coming together, and by the idea and what you started doing, it shaped what you're doing right now, shape your business and bringing women together and empowering us and showing us the way to do it. And basically, I thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah. And I think what I heard throughout all that is just the passion for it, and not even knowing, it's the unknown. You're going on an unknown journey, but within that journey, you were still so passionate about it. You were still so rooted about it. And I think that's a lot for us entrepreneurs. Like, we have this big idea, these big dreams, and sometimes we don't even know where to start, but just by talking, or we're already doing the work and not even realizing. And so the people just naturally come to us. It's like the energy that we attract. And, you know, it also makes me think, in all that, in your journey, how do you continue to live intentionally while walking in your purpose?
I will say, I think everyone, or possibly everyone, has heard the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
And my life is full of pouring, which means I have to pour into myself all the time. So I am very, very intentional about making time for God throughout my day. I'm really big on, because I know me as a person. I know how hard it is for me to stop in the middle of the day to really focus on God. I feel like I pray throughout the day, but I'm very, very, very intentional about my morning routine and my evening routine. How I start my day and how I reset in the evening for the next day. And so in the morning, I think longer than most people's morning routine. Most people I know, their morning routine is like 30 minutes to an hour. I take about 3 to 4 hours every morning, usually between like 4 a.m. and 8 a.m.
Wow.
And that is when I'm doing like my Bible time, my devotional. I journal like 3 times. I do praise and worship. I just really like to reset my mind, my heart, everything, to get ready for the day. And I do the same in the evening. My evening routine is a little different because it's not 4 hours. It's like 2 hours. But then I'm really, really big about joy. Like, I feel like just pure joy just comes from God. And so when people that I watch, stand up comedy every night, they're like, oh, why do you do that? And for me, it's like a way to connect with God. For some reason, when I'm laughing, I feel connected to him. And so, I make sure I have time for that joy and that laughter in my day. And then I do my downtime stuff again, my devotional, my journal for the next day. But just making sure that he's in like every piece of my life, because I feel like I kind of make the decision. I have learned that life does not happen the way we want it to.
No.
Make the decision to go ahead and prep yourself for those surprises. It's easier to make your way through them. So that's my biggest thing, just using every day to prep myself for the unknown.
And I love how you say you use joy, right? It's about joy. And it looks like with the ideas you were having and with the question that I asked you, you started changing your narrative. You started changing the way you were doing things, because you said this is birthed out of like loneliness, like where you were at a space where things weren't the way you wanted. And you decided like, I needed to make a change for myself, like changing the narrative. And so, and overcoming that, were you facing a lot of fears that you had to overcome, and, and taking a different path? How did that look like for you as you're preparing yourself and entering God into your life, into every preparation?
You know what? I feel like I made a lot of changes on my journey, and I've had a lot of fears. But the crazy thing is, I didn't start having fears. Well, I had fears only up until I quit my job. Most people, their fear kicks in after the fact. But my fear was that I would never be able to change the narrative. My fear was when I was working and I was like, God, like, when is this going to happen? Am I doing the right things? Am I making the right choices? Am I going to be able to, do these things? And so every day that I was still at work, I was scared. I was scared because, and being in teaching, I feel like 80%, I love my community of teachers, but 80% of them are well beyond my age, and so I would look at them and I would ask, I'm a very inquisitive person, so I would ask, like, you're talk to a teacher who was on the same floor as me. I was, not to be rude, but you're 70 and you've never done anything else. Do you not feel stuck? And I remember her telling me, what else would I do? There's so much I want to do. What else would I do? And I remember that day in the kitchen lounge eating cake. And I was like, I'm not going to ask myself that for the rest of my life. What else could I do? And so for me, changing my narrative and me stepping into it was just making a commitment to obedience. That was it. Like, I wish I could say that I wasn't scared. I wish I could say that I did. It was scary as heck, but that's all it was. Is I just made a commitment to be obedient. If God said step, I stepped. Like, that was just it. And it wasn't easy at all. I had to treat it like God was a figure that I could actually see standing over me. And, that was really it for me.
It takes a lot of courage to do that, especially because fear can be so crippling, especially when you have a vision and the vision is so clear and you're just like, I don't know, I'm a little scared. Because I've had that. Everything that you've said, I've experienced and I am experiencing. I had to go. I say I had to, but I technically didn't have to go back to my 9 to 5. And I'm at my 9 to 5 and I'm like, I want to get to a point where I can immerse myself fully into my business and my vision. And sometimes I find myself saying, do I want to take that leap of faith and leave to just immerse myself into it? And that's where the fear comes in. But then I understand when you say you have to be obedient and listen to God and just discipline yourself, because at the end of the day, He sees everything and He guides your steps. So I'm in that process. So I'm still trying to be still and listen and see Him there as a full person figure. So I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of people need to hear that, especially if they're stuck or they feel like they're stuck, and really it's just take that leap of faith.
And I think I was inspired by your work even before Brown Girls Bills were started, right? And I remember I sent you a message on Instagram because I was admired and inspired by your relationship, the way you were approaching the world with being obedient and you were being true to yourself. And I know, like, we don't see the behind the scene of what it takes, like, when you're sitting with those thoughts and those feelings and to come out of it. And you can tell, like, okay, there's something here. You got to find a way to believe bigger. You got to find a way to take that leap, take that step and be like, okay, I'm going to start something. I'm going to create a community. But in order for me to do that, I got to see what it looks like for myself. And it seemed like that's what you were doing, is walking on that path of yourself and say, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to prep? And how am I going to bring this community together and share this message and help other women within that community?
Yeah.
You often talk about, like, knowing your gift for anyone, who finds themselves stuck and don't know how to begin. How can they start using their gift? Like, how can they say, okay, all right, this is what I'm good at. This is what I can share with the community. So, like, what step do I need to take? And then, like, take that leap of faith and starting it.
I would say anything that I could tell somebody and leave somebody with really comes down to two things. One, again, that obedience of just doing whatever God tells you to do, which is so hard to do because now everybody's telling you start with a plan. Don't do anything without a plan. And sometimes we don't know what most times we do not know what God's plan is, right? So how is it possible to start with a plan? You don't know. So just take every single step without an expectation. If it's something as small as, now looking back, it's so funny seeing how it all came together, but I used to get like small urges on my heart to just text a friend and of just encouragement, like that's it, right? Or I would, have something on my heart to even just call my mom, which me and my mom, we have a very mother-daughter relationship. We're just getting into the friend zone of where she's comfortable like talking to me about stuff. But I would call her,
friend zone.
yeah. I would call her and be like, is there anything you need help with? And I don't know why, it would just be on my heart. And like, she'd be like, yeah, actually, can I talk to you about this? And I'm like, okay, God, I don't know why you asked me to do this. But so like just steps of obedience, whether it be small or big. And the reason I say that is because, which is the second thing, you need to start listening to what people are telling you, the people that God ordained to be in your life.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we don't see what our gifts are. Other people can see it before we do, right?
Mhm,
It's how we make other people feel, because our gifts are not for us, they're for others.
yes.
And those things that we do to help people, the things that we do to bring them life, to pour into them, you'll see what your gifts are. When I was reaching out to friends and randomly calling my mom or sharing something on Instagram, I remember I had a week, and I kid you not, every single day, someone said in the essence of, you take the most complicated things and make them so simple. I've never been able to understand stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was funny because I was like struggling to figure out what was my thing, what made me unique, what made me different, what made me this. And when I just stopped and started to listen, it wasn't until my boyfriend's mom called me to tell her something about Instagram, and I like just broke it down for her really quickly, and she said the same thing. I think that was like the last day, like seriously the last day of hearing it every day. And she was like, you are so gifted, you just take the most complicated things and just break them down. And I gasped, but she was like, why are you gasping? I'm like, because people keep telling me it's driving me nuts. And she was like, probably because that's your gift. You have the gift to teach, and you thought it stopped in the classroom, and it does not. Everybody can't do it like that. And she kept repeating gift, gift, gift. And I was like, wow. And I can't explain the feeling. It just gave me chills. And then that's when I got really serious about stepping into my gift and helping others do the same, and looking at spiritual gifts and studying them. But that was really, those two things, just walking into obedience and listening to the people who God ordained to be in my life, not just everybody, not just everybody.
No.
And, that's what helps me come across what my gift is.
And I can relate to exactly what you said, because for me, for years, I'm a social worker. So as a social worker, I work with like youth, and I've started working with adults, and I will hear people say sentences, like, you're so good at this. Like, oh, you should do this. And then for me, I'm just like, I don't know. My family was like, wow, like, why don't you go do this? And then I remember I sat down in my notebook and I wrote things that I want to do. But for me, it was like, how am I even going to do this? Like, it's a lot of work. Like, what is it that, I need to do? And I kept putting it to the side. And it's like, I know I want it, but I'm not doing anything about it until like people, even my cousin Bria is like, when are you going to start your own thing? When are you going to do this? Because you're so good at this. You're sending this messages. You're doing this. When are you going to step into it? And for me in my head, I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like I'm not seeing it. And then, but as you start, and as I start to be around individuals that are, doing things that I enjoy, and I'm like, I am good at this. This is what, brings me joy. This is what makes me happy. And then I started listening to God. Like you said, I started like praying on it and saying, okay, what is my direction? What is it that I need to do? And I think now I'm finally finding myself like, okay, just take that leap. And I had to like start listening. And like you said, like start listening and be obedient. And that was like the big thing for me. And I'm so happy. Like I joined the Brown Girls business world, because when you encourage us to read the book, Believe Bigger, I think that's when it changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Like the messages. Like that book, just like I read it and I was like, listen, I'm like, oh my God. Like it just spoke to me and it took everything out. And I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. Even though I was struggling, it literally started to like pave my way for what I needed to do and what I needed to create for myself.
Yeah, I love that book, by the way. It's filled with highlights and like stars with my favorite quotes. And I relate to what the both of you had said, because even, I'm a social worker as well, like Fadia. And my mom told me when I was little, she was like, you would be at recess trying to break up fights or just trying to tell friends, it's okay, you be friends. So she says like, it was always naturally in me, even as a young child. But it wasn't until, I graduated college that I really realized what I wanted to do. And I have all this, experience working with people from all ages, but I would still find myself praying to God, like, okay, God, I know that this is my gift, but show me how I can use it on a bigger level, because I know that I'm not supposed to just be in this one lane. Yes. Like I felt it in my heart and in my bones. I just didn't know what it would look like. And I remember I would pray on it, I think for years. And then when I started, my weight loss journey, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to document it on Instagram. And I would pray on that also. Okay, God, you're moving me in another direction. I don't know what this direction is, but continue to show me how you can use me and this gift that I have. And then my husband was like, well, people are already reaching out to you and they're asking you for help. So why don't you just make it into a business? And around at the same time, that's when Fadia had sent me your Instagram. And I'm like, who is this girl? She's so amazing. Like, I love her energy. And then you had the class about to join your membership, and Fadia was just like, we should just do it. And I was scared. Like, the fear was tapping on my shoulder. And I was like, you know what? This is just, I'm being steered in another direction. That's it. I don't care how much it is. I'm going to pay for it. And so I signed up. And then it's just like, once I signed up, having conversations with you one-on-one and looking at your master classes, literally that's when everything started to open up and fall into place. But it was just like things started to fall into place even faster. And I'm just like, oh, I feel like these blessings and these prayers answered. And I'm just like, I gotta go for the ride. And the book helped me confirm even more just the journey that I was on. Like, okay, this is your gift and this is the purpose and your calling. And I was able to put it all into like a little bouquet of flowers. And I'm like, wow, like this is an amazing journey. Yes, there's fear, but it ties back into being still and taking the lead and listening to God and your faith. So, girl, you changed my life.
I love that story.
Yeah, you definitely inspired us. I mean, even before you started your business, like I said, I was reaching out to you and having conversation with you. And then just the way you were genuinely just like, sharing like your belief, your faith, it just like inspired me to even like step into my own purpose, right? Like finding genuine individuals that are inspiring, even through conversation or what they're doing, is just kind of like open your eyes to like, don't give up on yourself. And I think that's what you did. It's like, even though you were fearful about leaving your job and starting and taking on this new adventure, you also had like individuals that were supporting you. So how important that was for you to have those conversations with your family, with your boyfriend, and and how did that impact your relationship into like going into this business, because you need the support system as well?
Yes, I will say honestly, and I don't think I've ever told anybody this, it was actually a little bit of an issue because I have always had problems letting go of the reins. And for a long time, it wasn't a conversation between my mom and dad. They were fine. My dad's an entrepreneur. My mom's like, do what you want to do. But with my boyfriend, I was honestly very selfish. And I didn't realize it till like he sat me down one day, because it was never a, hey, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. It was like, I'm doing this. Here's my plan. Here's what. And so the support was there, but he felt as though it was like I was just throwing something at him and then telling him to support it instead of him being on that journey with me. And that like really like it hit me in multiple ways. So I realized, one, I gotta stop being selfish in my life, because that rolled over even into my business. That rolled over into me, taking forever to hire help, because I did not want anybody on my team. I was like, only I can make these decisions and figure it out. And so I will say, because a lot of people, I actually had a friend too who was talking about quitting her job, and she was like, and I kind of got offended because she was like, I was like, you know what, I just had to do it. I just had to be obedient when the time was right. I went and did it. She was like, well, that's easy for you to say because you had support. And I was thinking in my head, I had no support, but that was because I didn't allow myself to have support.
Okay.
So, so it was like, I was still saving, like I was going to be the only one covering bills in the house. I was still stressed, like I was the only man standing. And so to be honest, we're just getting in a place, I would say in the last like 8 to 9 months of like me allowing him to support me, and me and me asking for support and establishing what we need. So, when I was stepping into it, to be honest, there wasn't much of a conversation. It was, hey, I just quit my job. This is how much I have saved, so we're good. And me thinking that I had taken care of the situation, that he would be fine with that. And he was like, it's not the fact that you quit, it's just the fact that you didn't tell me. And so now it's more of conversations of like, this week, I have a whole lot of clients. I'm really stressed. If you could help me by doing this, or, and vice versa. He'll do the same when he's working on his business now. And so really now the support looks like us like sitting down, we like to convene on Sundays and kind of do temperature checks and say, okay, what do you need from me this week? Here's what I need from you. How can we support? Is that something that we can do or can't do because of schedule or life? And how can we maneuver around that? But I'll be honest, child, I was trying to do everything myself.
I think also for many women, it's like you want something done and you just have tunnel vision. And so you have all these plans in your head. And I feel like sometimes naturally we're just, I know I can say for myself, we're just structured. I can plan something and like A, B, C, D, I know what to get done. And so when it's all said and done, we just go right ahead and execute the plan, forgetting that we have a whole area of people that we need to talk to also. And I remember too, like even with my husband, like I had to have these conversations with him. Also, I don't like to ask for help.
No.
I take things all on body knows, like I'll do everything by myself. And I had to learn also to be able to lean on him and be like, oh, hey, this is the idea that I have. What do you think? Versus, well, I just want to do it anyways, and it's gonna happen. So having those conversations, I like that, just being open, and because they can also have ideas to be able to help you on your journey or see things in a different perspective. And I like that you said that, when you're selfish in one area, like your business, it can also trickle in other areas. I think I heard Bishop T.D. Jakes said that. He's like, if you're not right in one area of your life, it's definitely going to trickle down and affect everything else.
Yes.
So
I think it's like the pillars of life.
Yeah. So it's a matter of just trying to be like self-awareness constantly. And so I think that's good advice to anyone who has that support system, just really thinking about, who you're going to communicate with and talking out those plans with them.
And how, with what you said, and it's interesting you said that, like, you didn't allow people to support you, right? Even your family and your boyfriend. So when you begin to open that door, how did your relationship begin to cultivate in in that sense, and like saying, okay, I need support. Let me allow my family, let me allow my boyfriend to support me in this way, and asking this question and making the time to have a temperature check. So like, how has that strengthened or cultivate your relationship with each other?
I would say, just how we were saying, it just spills over into everything else. Like, it's just, we've always been open, but it's like we're very open with each other now. It's just like there's no topic off limits. There's no jokes. There's no anything off limits. And that's what it's so funny. It's like me allowing people to support me, allow them to kind of support each other. I can't really explain. Like, as far as my family and friends, like my mom and dad, I'm not kidding, they are the most supportive people ever, but they're just now getting to the point of even understanding what I do. because I just never told them. Like, they were just like, okay, just do what you want to do. And, and again, I never went to them for help or anything like that for the most part. So, every time I do even stuff like this, an interview, I'll tell my dad, yeah, I had a podcast interview. And he was like, for what though? What do you do? And so they're finally starting to understand, but it's so funny because now we'll be on like speakerphone, me talking to my parents and him on the phone with his mom, and then my mom and his mom will be talking to me, y'all make sure Isis eats today because she's busy. And then my stepdad and my boyfriend will be telling jokes to each other, and it's just so I realized just me opening up to everyone allowed them to foster a relationship too. And I feel like that's been the most beautiful thing from it. Yeah,
and I love that. I love like how you're opening that door and just showing them like how, especially for me coming like, from being in a relationship to not being in a relationship anymore. So like I'm doing everything on my own. I'm like taking on that responsibility. How do you cultivate that? How do you begin to allow others to help you? Because sometimes you just feel like you just want to do it all. Like, I don't want to burden somebody. I don't want to, it's like, it's just the responsibility of it all. So it's good to hear that, like, it takes being obedient. It takes listening. It takes like saying, okay, all right, what is that I need? And allowing that door to open. And we are.
I've had to learn too to be very, very straightforward about what I need too. Because even when I started to open up, I would be sharing stuff and I didn't expect a response. Like, I didn't want one. Like, I wasn't putting out an idea for you to switch and edit my idea. And then I would get upset, like, no, I was happy with this idea. And now you want to tell me I should do something different. And I would get frustrated with that. And so I had to learn that when I'm talking to my boyfriend, my family, or anybody, when I'm opening up for support, I have to let them know, hey, I'm coming to tell you this just because I needed to get it off my chest. Or, hey, I'm about to tell you something. I actually need you to listen and give me some feedback. Or, I want to know from your perspective as a person, as a consumer, does this sound like a good idea? So I had to be very straightforward to what I needed from them because people can't read our minds.
I agree. And I think that's something that I'm starting to get better at, or I'm learning to do, because there's that, you have this idea or how you feel, and then when you express it or want some feedback, or it's that kind of like fear of like rejection, or just, no, I don't want you to change anything, and being so fixated in one mindset. But then it does go back to like, no, it's okay to be direct, because then that other person knows what you are expecting of them and how to show up. Yeah. And I feel like that goes not just, within business, but even in friendships and relationships. It all ties in together.
Yes. And in talking about all that, like, you created the Brown Girls Biz World, and then you just recently did the 6-figure scent. So let's talk about that a little bit, how those two became birth for you, for Brown Girl Business World and 6-figure scent. What inspired to like kind of like cultivate that and bring us together, and then like the message behind it for women, to begin walking their purpose, and to use that and to be intentional about what they're doing while they're earning an income, while they're, the message that they're sending out to individuals.
Well, let me just say, starting 6-figure Saints was like the most frustrating thing. God definitely gave me a vision with no direction with that one, honey. And I was trying to jump the gun. I actually was fasting months before I even had the idea of the conference. And literally during my fast, 6-figure Saints popped into my head. Like just the word, no idea, no conference, just the words, 6-figure Saints. And then I just turned to Michael, my boyfriend, and I was like, 6-figure Saints, how do you feel about that? And then again, no context. He's like, I don't like it. And I was like, well, too bad. God gave it to me. And so I go on my computer. I start trademarking the name and like just the process of it, because I didn't even know what it was. I bought the domain. I think I bought a few. I bought like 6-figure Saint, 6-figure Saints with the S, with the everything. I bought 6-figure Saints, and I was like, I have no idea what this is for. And then another fast months later kind of led to the conference, but I even still struggled with that because I did have Brown Girl Biz World, and Brown Girl Biz World is my baby. And so I was like, is this supposed to be a replacement? Like, am I supposed to do Six Figure Saints membership? Should I change the name of Brown Girl Biz World? Should I? And so I got like actually really frustrated and really overwhelmed. And it was until I think it was like some guy DM'd me. And the guys usually DM me. I usually don't answer because I'm just like, I love working with women. But he DM'd me, and it was like such a heartfelt message. He was like how him and his wife had heard me inside of Clubhouse talking. And she doesn't have an Instagram, so he was the one who messaged me. He was like, I just want to let you know, my wife is going to join Brown Girl Biz World. I know it's not for women, but can I like take peeks sometimes and things like that? And I just realized, you know what, there are things that, not just married couples, but there are things that families want to do together, whether they're men and women. There are things that couples want to do together. There are things that, and in essence, everything that I do is for kingdom families, to be honest. I've always said just creating a space where families could thrive. I feel like a lot of things come down to money. I will be honest. I think that a lot of marriages break up because of money. I feel like, and I always have to explain this when I say it, I feel like I was molested because of money. And the reason I say that is because we didn't have a lot of money at all. And so, it was easy for my mom to put me in the care of, honestly, places I probably shouldn't have been, family members who we knew were trashy, and random babysitters and things like that. And I think, like, dang, what if we actually had the money to be in a actual like childcare facility that was reputable? What if? And so it's just a lot of things in my life and everything that spiraled from that, and just the things I've seen most times have come down to money. And so I said to say, it's always been important for me to, I always say doing things for women, but I realize I also need to be doing it for men if they're going to be the head of a household. They are still very big on decision making and leading that household and making sure, along with their wives, that, their children are going to be brought up and supported and encouraged. And so I was like, you know what, I'm not going to replace Brown Girl Biz World. But then that's where the Six Figure Saints conference came along. And so it was just really important for me to make sure people could just work in their freaking purpose and be happy and do what they want to do. And honestly, when people are working in their purpose, it makes my job easier, because when God gives you something, it's not going to fail. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
These other business coaches, they got it out here hard. They got to go against what God did not give somebody and try to make some money out of it. Child, I would rather not. I like it to be a smooth flow. And so, me cultivating these communities, Brown Girl Biz World and Six Figure Saints, just wanted to have a place where people could just walk in their purpose and make money and be happy and, save future generations from whatever it may be that could come. I don't know.
You know what, as you're talking about this, and what's popping up in my head is that I just started my business. I finally took the leap of faith and I said, okay, I'm gonna do it, right? And so
finally, I was like, I could tell her.
I know. And then it's so funny, and I had the conversation with you, the one-on-one conversation, and then you gave me some questions of homework assignment that I needed to sit with, and I sat with it for a long time. And let me tell you something, I cried. I was like literally crying because what it took for me was like I had to step out of something else that I enjoyed doing, that I was loving doing, but I had to look at the relationship, because it's like, if you don't have joy, if you don't have the support, you don't have the relationship, it makes it hard. And so I started to it was really hard for me to come out of it. And then when I started the business, I spoke to someone who was like, okay, so is it just for women? Can guys do it too? And so it started making me think. I'm like, okay, I know I'm focusing on women, but I'm like, maybe I should expand it a little bit, because I didn't realize that. I'm like, okay, there are the men that want the support. There are the men that like the message that you're sending out. And then, so it's like, if it's just target one person, you're missing out on the other. So it's like, in hearing you talk about that with Six Figure Saints, it's like, it makes sense, because it was difficult for me to transition.
Yeah.
And Bria and I would have this conversation. I remember I was just like so down. I was like, I would be in tears some days. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And she's just like, girl, just do it. Like, what do you have to lose? Just do it. And then I'm in Brown Girls Business World. And I'm just like, I'm part of this group. and beautiful women that are, you know, cultivating their business, and you're showing us different ways to do it. Like, I came in this group for a purpose. I came to cultivate my gift, and I'm like, I'm almost a year in, and I'm like, what's my gift? And so it was kind of like, you got to step into it. You got to stop dreaming about it and then just say, okay, all right, yeah, I want to do this. Yeah, I want to do that. But then don't really take action and do it. And like you said, God's give you the gift with no direction. With no direction, with no plan, with no how to do's, no list, no breaking down where to start. And so I'm like, and then she's like, all right, let me go watch the videos. We have the group, so let's do it. So I had to, so finally I can say I'm stepping into it. I'm finally taking the advice. I'm finally saying like, yes, I need the support and I'm doing it.
Yeah. And I would tell her like, but you're already doing the work. And she would be like, Fadi would explain to me like her thoughts and what she would be doing like at her actual job. And I'm just like, but do you know you are already, what you're saying was you're already doing the work? So what's holding, just do it. Just and, you know, she was finally able to, you know, launch her business, which I'm so proud of her for doing, and just being able to see her growth and how Brown Girl Bizzle has just been able to help not just only us, but all of the other girls that we've connected with, and just seeing their journey and how they're blossoming. And I feel like it's such a beautiful space to feel safe and to be seen and heard and just really support each other and root for each other. And I feel like everybody has just blossomed and just continued.
Yes.
Even when, and I'm not, entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not peaches and cream every single day. It really isn't. And I remember I sent you a message and I was like, I am so overwhelmed. I'm about to break down. And you were like, no, girl, we're gonna have it one-on-one FaceTime.
Yes, and that's the conversation I had too.
And you brought me back down. I was like, okay. It's just, and I think on this journey, even if it's entrepreneurship or whatever endeavors in your life, that there's gonna be ups and downs. And so for you, looking back on your own journey, have you had a time where you were like, yeah, this is not for me. I don't know if I can do this. And how were you able to get through it?
That time was actually this month, and I'm just not getting through it. And it's so, I couldn't really know. I was like, you know what? I was thinking I was going to make a post about it on social media, and I was like, this is just still too raw. I can't really explain the feelings. But so my dad had a heart attack, and he's okay. But I can't explain the feeling of me being so crushed. Like he was just, still I say was, like I'm just like acting like he's gone. He's alive and well, but he
thank God.
Superhero. And so for me to see the person who I just never thought would even just get sick to be having a heart attack, I don't know. It broke me. It broke me. And I had a few panic attacks. I never had. No one tells you when you have a serious panic attack how painful it is for days.
Yes.
So no, my chest is hurting for days, and I can't remember. I don't know if it's just me just walloping and just that, but I even went through from that feeling guilty because my granddad passed a few months ago. And that really shook me too. But I felt guilty because I was like, how am I sitting here mourning my dad who's alive and well, and I didn't even take the time to mourn my granddad. And I don't know why it just, so the last month has been like the craziest because I was like having those emotions. And then this is the month that I took on more clients than I would ever take on in any month. So I'm like smiling every day, knowing dang on well, I didn't feel like smiling. And then, you know, then my birthday and my friends thinking they were doing the right, and they loved them. We actually had a great time. But my boyfriend and my friends were like, let's surprise Isis with trips. So I went to 2 trips and it was a Band-Aid. It wasn't a cure. And so, you know, so I was just, and still am, really working through. I'm a big proponent of God and therapy. And so I have like doubled up on my therapy. I have like spent more time with God. I've told my clients, I had some clients who I work with for like a month to 6 weeks who want to do 3 months to 6 months, my next program. And I've told them, no, I need to take
Yes.
doing it however long it needs to be for me to just
Mm-hmm.
because I still can't explain the feeling. And my dad is like, he's like a jokester. He's just like me. He's so hilarious. And I keep trying to tell him, like, I was like, Dad, I'm like still heartbroken over you. I don't know why. He's like, we need to get together so we can get on vacation. I'm ready to go get a beer. And I'm like, how am I not okay and you're okay? So this was just my month. And it was just, it's so, I have like two feelings around it, because one feeling is just like, the little lies that we tell ourselves, right?
Yes.
I was, if I can lose my granddad, if my dad can have a heart attack, if life is so short, then why would I even take the time to put energy into a business, right? Like I was just like, let me just go through life with the easy stuff. Let me go back to work, and literally thoughts I'm having just because. And then I had the real me who's fighting against that, who's like, this is not only my passion, but my responsibility to use my gift. Like if I was put on this earth literally for my light to shine and to pour into other people, and if I'm not doing that, how disrespectful is it to God that I just threw away the gifts that he gave me? That's how I feel too. And so, I'm in the moment right now, we're working through it.
It's just relatable because, I can relate to that feeling because my dad passed, it'll be a year and 2 weeks. Wow. And so when he passed away, it amplified everything, but it also pushed me to follow my dreams and my gifts. And I still don't really understand like that relation. But he always supported what I wanted to do. I remember having a conversation maybe a month before he had passed, and it's like, oh, Dad, like this is, I have an idea. Like, I think I'm going to start a business. And and I told him a little bit about it. And he was like, oh, that's great. Like, do whatever you want to do. And so when he passed, but they're still going through that process of grief, and it can be very crippling. And there's days where you're just like, I just want to sleep. I don't want to do anything. I just want to turn off the laptop. I don't want to post anything on Instagram, no content or speak to clients. But also knowing that we are human, and yes, we have this gift and passion, but it is okay to say no. I have learned the power of no. We have to show up for ourselves. And if we can't show up for ourselves, how can we show up in our business and be able to show up for our clients? And just know that it is one day at a time. Yes. So even through the storms, even when the days are really crappy, again, leaning on your faith and knowing that you will get through it. And at the end of the day, when you communicate with your clients that, okay, no, not this time, you are putting yourself first, but they will understand no matter what, because God ordained it to.
Sorry you had to go through that, and I'm happy your father is doing well and you're taking care of your mental health in the midst of it all. And, we're here, we have the community and we're here to support you to that. So, like, just wow.
Girl on the dad.
No, he don't need to be drinking.
So as we talk about faith, so let's talk about the importance of faith for you. So you lead prayer with us in group when we meet. You show us different ways to cultivate that and to strengthen that relationship with God and our faith.
Faith is, in one word, everything. I mean, I don't think I started to realize, it's like one of those things you kind of just have, you just don't really think about, like, oh yeah, I have faith, and everyone says have faith. I don't think I realized how important it was when I was dating somebody I had no business dating. Had to be like, maybe like, time flies, probably like 5 years ago now. And he was a good person. He was a good man, just not a godly man. So he believed in like spirituality, meaning like a one true God, but like no religions. I think that's how he believed. I couldn't really explain it. So anyway, but because he didn't believe in like just having like something or someone out there like that had a plan for you, there was no way I could help this man. I mean, he would be like going through the stuff that I would consider small and would be depressed because he saw no way out, right? No way out. It would be like, you know, him and his boss getting into a fight. And I'm like, okay, well, just pray over it. Like, my sense, like, pray over it, figure out how you should handle it. You know, it'll all work out. And he would be so angry for days or upset for days, or because there was no outlet for him. And that is when I just realized, like, this faith thing is real important. Like, it started to hit me. If I don't have faith, then what will I ever believe in? Like, there was like no point in anything for him. And so I actually, that relationship, I don't talk about it too much, but that relationship took me on a year after us breaking up, of where I honestly, I don't know if I even really believe in God. This had me reading so many books about different religions and all that. And I got to the point where I was like, I was in the same stance as him. I was like, you know, I don't know what the heck is going on. I don't know if there's a thing out here. And you know, what's so funny is that because of that, what brought me away from God made me even closer to him. Because of that, because of me trying to prove that God was not real, I went to a whole year of doing so much research, like digging into everything, not even just the Bible. I'm digging in all these different religions, reading all this stuff, just going just crazy over information. Everything led back to Jesus. I mean, like, I was literally set trying to prove that this man did not exist. And so that like really renewed my faith. And so I just want people to see, you know, I'm never the person to try to force anything on anybody. I'm not that person. But I want people to understand that just having faith and knowing, there's something about knowing that everything is going to work out. Like, truly knowing it puts so much courage into your heart. It gives you so much strength. You know, people ask me how am I, you know, so good with being obedient, because I'm literally in the mindset of what the heck could go wrong. You know, if you're telling me that God has already handled it, that's like me telling, you know, my mom coming and telling me like, hey, I got you some cake right there on that counter, blindfolded me and say, all you gotta do is take 1 step forward, 2 step forward, turn left, turn right, you there, right? I trust her enough to not throw me against the wall and make me run into stuff and just to get the prize that she has for me, you know? And that's how I feel about God too. So I just want people to have that relationship and understand it's gonna happen. It just depends on you taking that step to get that cake. I don't know where this analogy came from.
I love that.
I'm hungry.
It's about dessert time right about now. But thank you so much, Isis. You have shared so many gems with us throughout this episode, you know, how to walk in your faith while securing the bag. And really what it is just leaning in your faith, trusting in the process, and listen to what people are telling you so that you are able to hear and confirm what your gift is for yourself while being obedient and being still. And then even through the rough times, trying to figure out your business, lean on your supports and having conversations with them also. And just big up yourself and have fun also. And I actually want our audience to have a little bit of a taste of BGBW. And for us, that is, you always start and end your meetings with a prayer. And I would love if you can end our episode today with one of your lovely prayers as well to sign us off.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Lord God, I come to you today first just to say thank you for these amazing women, for Fadia and Bria, for having this platform that uplifts and that loves on women. And I just thank you for their lives, Lord. I just pray that right now, anyone under the sound of my voice, anyone who's listening to this podcast is blessed beyond measure, Lord. I pray that you renew their faith in you, that you renew their understanding, that you fill them with so much obedience that it just overflows, Lord, that every step that they take is took with courage and understanding, and they know that you don't want anything for them that is not going to bless their lives, Lord. I thank you for already giving us the provisions. I thank you for already filling us with everything that we need to know. I thank you for giving us the strength and the power, Lord. It is already within us, and with you, we know that we can do anything. I pray over everyone's business, everyone's life, over Fadia's new business, and Bria's too, Lord. And I just pray that you continue to fill us and guide us in every step of the way, Lord. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for your grace. We thank you for your knowledge and for the wisdom you continue to give us, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Oh, I felt that.
Amen. Yes.
Oh my God. Thank you. You're gonna make me cry. You're gonna make me tear up. and this is what our the business is, right? Like you'll do things like that, and the way you connect us and the way you end with us, it just like puts us in a different space. Even with me, it doesn't get old. It's like, oh my God, like the prayer just touched, and you feel it. So I appreciate, and I'm admiring your work, and I appreciate you and creating the space for us, because I'm learning so much and it's helping me. So Isis, thank you. And I'm happy that you were able to join us. So if anything, guys, resonate with you guys today with this episode, leave us a comment. And if you want to be a guest or you want to suggest us for some topic, email us at the Millennial Babes Podcast at gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. Thank you.